precious child, on March 24th, something shifted in the unseen realm, and it was not random. It was not coincidence. It was not by accident that you found this message today. I, Archangel Michael, have been waiting for 3 weeks for this exact moment when your heart would be ready to hear what heaven has been holding back. Yes, 3 weeks. 3 weeks of divine silence. 3 weeks of unseen protection. 3 weeks of spiritual preparation around your life. And now you are here. On March 24th, your name was spoken in the courts of heaven. Not whispered, not overlooked. Spoken with authority. A decision was made concerning the house you are living in, the atmosphere around you, and the hidden tension you have been feeling but could not explain. You thought it was stress. You thought it was exhaustion. But it was spiritual pressure building before a breakthrough. Beloved, I am so glad you finally found this. Because if you had ignored this message, if you had scrolled past it, you would have missed a divine intersection that has been aligned specifically for you. For 3 weeks, I have been watching over the situation connected to your home. There has been confusion in the air, a strange heaviness at certain hours, moments where you felt peace 1 minute and unease the next. You questioned yourself. You wondered if it was just your imagination. It was not. Heaven was observing what you could not see. There is a woman connected to your environment, either living in your space, frequently visiting, or spiritually attached to your household energy. Her intentions have not been pure, not openly evil, not obviously wrong, but misaligned. And misalignment, if left unchecked, creates chaos. I did not allow it to escalate. For 3 weeks, I have delayed exposure. Why? Because timing matters in spiritual warfare. If truth is revealed too early, hearts harden. If truth is revealed too late, damage multiplies. But March 24th was marked as the turning point. You may feel emotional as you hear this. That is not weakness. That is confirmation. Something inside you already knew something was off. You tried to ignore it. You tried to give the benefit of the doubt. You tried to keep peace at any cost. But peace built on silence is not peace. It is pressure. And I have come to relieve that pressure. Listen carefully. Within days of March 24th, a hidden truth begins surfacing. Not through confrontation, not through argument, but through revelation. You will notice patterns. Words will slip. Behavior will contradict itself. What was concealed will struggle to stay hidden. And when it unfolds, you will not feel rage. You will feel clarity. You will cry, not because you are broken, but because you will finally understand why your spirit felt restless. I promise, you will cry when you hear what I have to say. Because this is not just about exposure. It is about protection. There was a decision forming behind your back. A quiet plan that could have shifted your living situation, your stability, or your emotional peace. But I stepped in. I stood at the entrance of your home spiritually and said, no further. The delay of 3 weeks was mercy. You were being strengthened quietly. Have you noticed how you have been more reflective lately? More aware. More sensitive to tone and energy. That was not random growth. That was preparation. Beloved, heaven does not rush revelation, but it also does not ignore injustice. March 24th marked the beginning of divine rearrangement in your household. Conversations will change. Dynamics will shift. The one who thought they were operating unseen will begin to feel exposed without knowing why. And here is the most important part. You are not meant to fight this battle. You are meant to observe. Do not confront prematurely. Do not accuse emotionally. Do not reveal that you know. Let truth reveal itself. Because when heaven exposes something, it does it in a way that leaves no confusion. This message feels urgent because it is. The spiritual window that opened on March 24th will not remain open forever. Alignment is happening quickly. You may already feel small signs, unexpected silence, unusual distance, subtle tension rising. That is not collapse. That is truth pressing forward. You have been patient. You have endured discomfort quietly. And I have seen every moment. The tears that will come are not tears of loss. They are tears of validation. You were right to trust your instincts. You were right to question what felt wrong. You were right to seek peace instead of drama. And because you chose restraint, heaven chose intervention. Do not fear what is about to unfold. When exposure happens, it will feel sudden. But remember, it was 3 weeks in the making. Nothing about this is chaotic. It is calculated protection. And when the truth stands fully in the light, you will finally breathe freely in your own home again. This is why I have been waiting. This is why you were guided here. This message will not chase you again. But now that you have heard it, you are prepared. The next shift will confirm everything. Beloved soul, the moment you chose to continue listening, something powerful happened in the unseen realm. Curiosity brought you here, but destiny is keeping you here. What I am about to unfold is not surface-level guidance. This is layered truth, and it connects directly to why March 24th was marked so strongly around your name. For 3 weeks, there was a silent observation over your household, not just over walls and furniture, but over conversations, intentions, and hidden emotions. The spiritual atmosphere in your home began to shift long before you consciously noticed it. You may have sensed small changes, subtle coldness in tone, forced kindness, unexplained mood swings, or conversations that felt rehearsed rather than genuine. This is not your imagination. When energy changes in a space, sensitive souls feel it first. And you, whether you admit it or not, are spiritually sensitive. That sensitivity is not weakness. It is discernment. A woman connected to this situation has been carrying inner conflict. Outwardly, she presents calm. Inwardly, she wrestles with comparison, insecurity, and silent resentment. These emotions were not initially directed at you, but over time, proximity created friction. Instead of addressing her own wounds, she projected subtle discomfort into your space. That projection created imbalance. But listen carefully. I, Archangel Michael, did not allow this imbalance to turn into destruction. The reason exposure was delayed for 3 weeks was because hearts needed to reveal themselves without being forced. When truth surfaces naturally, it cannot be denied. There were whispers forming behind your back, conversations that excluded you, small decisions being discussed without your knowledge. Nothing explosive, nothing dramatic, but enough to give the foundation address it. And heaven did not ignore foundation cracks. March 24th initiated a spiritual uncovering. Since that date, watch closely. Notice how certain plans begin to fall apart before they fully form. Notice how misunderstandings suddenly correct themselves without your involvement. Notice how secrets feel heavier to the one carrying them. This is not coincidence. Truth has weight. And when heaven applies pressure, hidden motives struggle to stay contained. You may feel emotional waves during this time. One day calm, the next reflective. One moment confident, the next uncertain. Do not interpret this as instability. It is alignment adjusting around you. Here is what you must not do. Do not rush to confront. The urge to speak everything you sense may feel strong, but premature confrontation weakens divine timing. Let the unraveling happen organically. When truth exposes itself, it carries its own evidence. There is something else you need to understand. Your silence over the past weeks was not passivity. It was spiritual maturity. You chose peace when you could have chosen reaction. You chose observation instead of accusation. A decision activated protection around you. Many people lose battles not because they were wrong, but because they spoke too soon. You did not. And because of that restraint, what is unfolding will clear your name without you needing to defend it. You might soon witness an unexpected confession, a revealing mistake, or a sudden shift in behavior that confirms what your intuition already knew. When that moment comes, do not gloat. Do not harden your heart. Simply remain grounded. This is restoration, not revenge. I need you to stay spiritually steady in the coming days. The exposure will be subtle at first. It will not be fireworks. It will be clarity. And clarity is far more powerful. Also understand this. The house you are living in is not just physical space. It represents stability, security, and emotional grounding. The enemy tried to disturb your peace in that environment because peace is your strength. But the disturbance has backfired. Instead of weakening you, it sharpened your discernment. That is why this message reached you now. And if this is resonating deeply, if you feel that inner confirmation rising in your spirit, then engage with this message. Like this video so this word can travel to someone else who is silently experiencing the same pressure. Share it with someone who needs divine clarity in their home. Comment what you have been sensing these past 3 weeks. Let your voice align with truth. When you interact, you are not just supporting a channel. You are amplifying a spiritual warning that someone else desperately needs. Subscribe and become part of this growing circle of discernment and protection. There is strength in collective awareness. And what is being revealed now is only the beginning of something greater unfolding in your favor. What happens next will not only confirm everything I have spoken, it will shift the energy in your home permanently. And when that shift completes itself, you will realize why the delay was necessary. Keep your heart steady. The next revelation is closer than you think. Chosen one, what I am about to reveal now is the reason your spirit has been trembling slightly while listening. There is a deeper layer to what began on March 24th, and it reaches beyond surface misunderstandings. It touches destiny alignment, spiritual authority, and the silent battle over your peace. For 3 weeks, heaven restrained a truth that could have broken your trust too suddenly. Not because you are fragile, but because timing determines impact. If you had discovered everything at once, your emotions might have reacted before your wisdom could anchor you. So restraint became protection. The woman connected to your household situation has been standing at a crossroads internally. She has been comparing her life to yours more than you realize. Your stability unsettles her. Your quiet strength irritates her unresolved insecurities. Even your patience had been misinterpreted as weakness in her perception. But what she failed to understand is that patience backed by discernment is power. There was a conversation that almost took place fully behind your back. A decision that could have shifted living arrangements, financial contributions, or emotional influence within your home. It was subtle. It was strategic. And it was designed to test whether you would remain unaware. But I, Archangel Michael, intercepted. Not grammatically, not loudly, but effectively. Confusion entered their planning. Words were misunderstood. Timing failed. The coordination fell apart without anyone realizing why. That was not coincidence. That was divine interruption. And here is what will make you emotional. You were never meant to be removed from that space. You were never meant to be sidelined. The discomfort you felt was not a sign that you were losing ground. It was a sign that heaven was securing your ground more firmly than before. In the coming days, something small but significant will occur. It may appear as a casual statement, an accidental admission, or an unexpected apology. Pay attention. It will confirm that hidden tension existed exactly where your spirit sensed it. When that confirmation arrives, you will feel tears well up, not from betrayal, but from validation. You will realize that you were not overthinking. You are discerning. And discernment is a gift that many people ignore because it feels uncomfortable. Do not shrink your awareness to make others comfortable. Here is another layer. The house itself carries spiritual memory. Arguments, silent judgments, withheld gratitude, all of these leave residue. Over the past 3 weeks, you may have felt heaviness in certain rooms or at certain times of day. That heaviness is lifting gradually. As truth approaches exposure, the atmosphere clears. You may even notice improved sleep, calmer mornings, or less tension in shared spaces. This is not imagination. It is alignment restoring balance. But listen carefully now. When exposure completes itself, you must choose grace over pride. The purpose of revelation is correction, not humiliation. If a woman feels cornered or embarrassed, resist the temptation to dominate the moment. Simply stand steady. Your stability will speak louder than any argument. There is strength in silent confidence. I am telling you this because what unfolds next will test your composure more than your emotions. The situation will resolve in your favor, but how you handle that resolution determines the long-term peace of your household. Do not weaponize truth. Let it settle. Your role is not to punish. Your role is to remain grounded while heaven finishes what it started on March 24th. You may also sense that someone else in your environment begins to treat you differently, more respectfully, more cautiously, more attentively. That shift is acknowledgement. Even if no one verbally admits what was happening, the energy will reveal that they know you were aware. That is enough. You do not need dramatic confessions to feel secure. You need peace. And peace is what is returning. This is why I waited 3 weeks to deliver this message. Your emotional foundation is stronger now. You can handle the truth without breaking. You can witness exposure without exploding. That maturity is rare. Now receive this carefully. Type "I stand in divine clarity" in the comments if this message confirms what your spirit already knew. Lesson Code 314 has just been released over your household. As you declare it, understand that clarity is sealing your environment. Confusion is dissolving. Hidden motives are losing strength. And peace is reclaiming its rightful place in your home. And now, as this wave of revelation settles, I speak directly to those whose hearts are burning to help this message travel further. If this word reached you at the exact moment you needed it, imagine how many souls are still wandering in silent confusion inside their own homes. When you sow into this mission through super thanks, membership, or even a PayPal seed found in the description, you are not supporting a platform. You are opening spiritual doors for someone else's breakthrough. The Lord says, as you sow light, light will answer you. This is not a transaction. It is a prophetic act. I can feel some of you thinking, I want to be part of this movement. That desire is not random. It is alignment. Every seed becomes oil in the lamp of another searching heart. Every offering becomes a shield around a struggling family. Heaven records obedience, not amounts. So step into this moment boldly. Release your support as an act of faith. Activate your partnership today and let your giving become a weapon of peace in someone else's home. The exposure has begun. The restoration is unfolding. And you are standing exactly where you are meant to be. Faithful heart, the air around you is already changing, even if the full picture has not yet appeared. Since March 24th, subtle rearrangements have been happening behind the scenes. You may not see dramatic shifts yet, but you can feel something loosening. The tightness that once sat in your chest when you walked into certain rooms is not as sharp. The silence that once felt heavy now feels observant instead of oppressive. This is not accidental. This is the result of divine recalibration. When exposure begins in the spiritual realm, it rarely announces itself with noise. It starts with discomfort in the one who has something to hide. Pay attention to behavioral shifts. You may notice overcompensation, forced friendliness, or sudden attempts to appear transparent. These are not signs of confidence. They are signs of internal pressure building. The woman at the center of this tension has started to sense that something is slipping beyond her control. She may not know that heaven is involved, but she feels that the environment no longer responds the way it once did. Words that used to land smoothly now feel awkward. Conversations that once felt calculated now stumble. That stumbling is revelation pressing forward. I, Archangel Michael, have not stepped back since initiating this turning point. Protection has intensified, not decreased. There were moments you almost doubted yourself again. A small voice tried to convince you that maybe you exaggerated the situation. Maybe nothing was truly wrong. But that voice was fear of confrontation, not truth. Truth does not fade because you question it. In fact, your questioning refined your discernment. Instead of reacting impulsively, you observed carefully. Instead of accusing without evidence, you waited for clarity. That waiting period strengthened your spiritual authority within your own home. Authority is not loud. It is steady. And steadiness unsettles those who rely on manipulation. Here is something important unfolding beneath the surface. A third party, someone loosely connected to this situation, will unknowingly become a catalyst. This person may say something casually that exposes a timeline inconsistency or reveals a conversation you were not supposed to know about. It will not feel like betrayal. It will feel like confirmation sliding into place. When that moment happens, your body will react before your mind does. A deep breath. A pause. A sudden stillness. That is recognition. Do not interrupt it. Let silence stretch for a moment. Let the other person realize what they revealed. Sometimes exposure works best when you simply observe without immediate response. Your calmness will speak louder than any confrontation ever could. I need you to understand something deeper now. The attack was never just about inconvenience. It was about destabilizing your confidence within your own space. If someone can make you question your belonging, they weaken your foundation. But that attempt failed. Instead of losing ground, you gained awareness. Instead of shrinking, you grew sharper. There may be a night soon when you sit alone and replay recent weeks in your mind. Memories will connect differently. Small details will suddenly make sense. Do not let regret enter that reflection. You were not foolish. You were patient. And patience under pressure is strength. The house you are living in is regaining spiritual balance. You may feel prompted to rearrange something physically. Clean a room, open windows, shift furniture, light a candle, play soft worship music. Follow that instinct. Physical action often sees spiritual shifts. As the atmosphere clears, your energy will feel lighter. However, prepare yourself for one final ripple before complete calm arrives. Exposure creates temporary tension. The woman may respond defensively once she realizes the truth is visible. She might attempt subtle gaslighting or emotional deflection. Stay grounded. Do not absorb her instability. You are not responsible for managing her reaction. Your responsibility is maintaining your peace. I am strengthening your emotional boundaries. You will feel less triggered than before. Comments that once irritated you will feel insignificant. That detachment is protection, not indifference. There is also restoration coming in an unexpected form. A conversation that once felt strained will soften. Someone who remained neutral may begin to align more clearly with fairness. Balance is returning to the household dynamic. And here is the deeper truth that may surprise you. This situation was allowed to surface not to remove you, but to solidify your position. Once the dust settles, your role in that home will be more secure than it has ever been. You are being tested, but not for failure. You are being positioned for clarity. As this unfolds, continue guarding your words. Speak less, observe more. When you do speak, let it be measured and calm. Your composure will disarm confusion. The next phase will reveal who truly respects your presence and who merely tolerated it. That revelation will free you from subtle emotional dependency. You will stop seeking validation where it was never rooted in sincerity. And when that realization locks into place, you will feel something powerful rise inside you. Confidence. Not arrogance. Not pride. Confidence grounded in truth. The shift that began on March 24th is accelerating. You are moving from suspicion to confirmation, from tension to clarity, from instability to authority. Remain steady. The unfolding is not finished, but it is firmly in your favor. Brave soul, what you are stepping into now is the quiet aftermath of divine exposure. The storm did not explode the way you feared. There was no dramatic collapse, no shouting, no chaos. Instead, there was something far more powerful, subtle unraveling. And subtle unraveling leaves no room for denial. Since the shift began, you may have noticed a change in eye contact, a slight hesitation in tone, a careful choice of words where once there was casual confidence. This is not coincidence. When truth begins to surface, those who carried hidden intentions become hyper-aware of their own behavior. They start measuring themselves because they sense that something unseen is watching. That unseen presence has been guarding you. The woman at the center of this tension is experiencing internal pressure. It is not punishment. It is conviction. She is realizing that the narrative she quietly shaped is no longer holding together. The details do not align the way they once did. The energy in the house does not respond to her the same way. Even others in the environment feel the shift, though they may not articulate it. And you are calmer than you expected to be. That calmness is evidence that heaven prepared you correctly. There was a moment recently when you almost confronted everything. You rehearsed words in your mind. You imagined how the conversation would unfold. But something inside you said, wait. That pause saved you from unnecessary friction. The exposure needed to breathe on its own. Now it is breathing. You might begin noticing small admissions disguised as casual comments. Phrases like, I didn't mean it that way, or maybe I misunderstood. These are fragments of accountability trying to emerge without fully surrendering control. Do not chase them. Let them come. There is strength in allowing someone to reveal themselves at their own pace. I, Archangel Michael, am standing between your reaction and your wisdom. That space between emotion and response is sacred. In that space, maturity grows. In that space, authority stabilizes. The house itself feels different now. The tension that once felt thick is thinned. Rooms that once felt divided feel neutral. Silence no longer feels threatening. It feels observant. This is restoration quietly reclaiming territory. However, understand this clearly. Restoration does not always mean reconciliation in the way you imagine. Sometimes restoration means clear boundaries. Sometimes it means adjusted expectation. Sometimes it means peace without closeness. You are being taught emotional independence within shared space. There may be a realization settling into you that this woman's behavior was never entirely about you. It stemmed from comparison. Your growth highlighted her stagnation. Your peace exposed her unrest. Your consistency magnified her insecurity. And instead of confronting her own gaps, she allowed subtle resistance to form. When you see this clearly, compassion might surprise you. Do not confuse compassion with tolerance of mistreatment. You can understand someone's insecurity without accepting their projection. It balances what you are mastering now. Another shift is approaching. A decision will need to be made soon, either by you or within the household. It may relate to roles, responsibilities, or communication patterns. This decision will not feel forced. It will feel necessary. And when it is made, it will finalize the exposure cycle that began weeks ago. Trust your instinct when that moment arrives. Your intuition is sharper now than it has ever been. You are no longer operating from suspicion. You are operating from evidence. And evidence brings confidence. There may also be an unexpected gesture from the woman. A small act of kindness. A softened tone. A moment of vulnerability. Do not dismiss it immediately. Exposure sometimes opens doors for genuine growth. Whether she fully changes or not is her journey. But your steadiness may influence more than you realize. The greatest victory here is not proving someone wrong. It is remaining unshaken while truth surfaces. You did not lose your composure. You did not sabotage your own peace. You did not allow paranoia to control you. Instead, you waited. And waiting allowed heaven to move. In the coming days, your sleep will deepen. Your mind will feel clear. The repetitive thoughts that once looped endlessly will quiet. That mental silence is healing. It signals that your nervous system no longer feels threatened in your own environment. And that is significant. Because the original attempt was to make you feel unsettled in your own space. But you remained. And now the space recognizes your stability. There is one more layer unfolding soon. Something that will not just confirm past tension, but open a new chapter of personal confidence for you. It will feel like stepping into a higher version of yourself within the same walls. When that shift completes, you will realize that what felt like a threat was actually preparation. Preparation for authority. Preparation for discernment. Preparation for a stronger foundation, and before. Stay grounded. Stay observant. The process is not chaotic. It is precise. And everything is aligning in a way that protects your peace long term. Tedfest 1. The next movement in this unfolding story will not come from confrontation, but from contrast. You are about to see a clear difference between who you are becoming and who has been resisting growth around you. That contrast will speak louder than any argument ever could. Since the shift began, you have felt something stabilizing inside you. Your reactions are slower. Your thoughts are clearer. Even your breathing feels more grounded in tense moments. That is not accidental. When truth is exposed gradually and handled with wisdom, it strengthens the one who endured it. The woman, connected to this situation is entering a phase of self-awareness she did not expect. Silence has become louder for her. The same rooms that once felt like strategic territory now feel like mirrors. She senses that something has changed in you. You are not seeking approval the way you once did. You are not trying to decode every tone. You are not over-explaining yourself. A detachment is unsettling to someone who relied on subtle control. I, Archangel Michael, am reinforcing your boundaries. Not aggressive boundaries, not defensive walls, but calm, unmovable lines of self-respect. When she speaks now, you listen without absorbing. When tension tries to rise, you remain measured. The composure shifts the entire dynamic. There may soon be a conversation that appears ordinary on the surface. It might revolve around shared responsibilities, finances, schedules, or future plans. But beneath it, there will be an unspoken acknowledgement. She will realize that you see more than you reveal. That realization changes power structures quietly. Power, when rooted in peace, does not need to announce itself. You are stepping into that kind of authority. Do not be surprised if others in your environment begin gravitating toward your calmness. Stability attracts trust. When someone demonstrates emotional balance under pressure, it commands silent respect. This is the restoration phase solidifying. However, be aware of one final attempt to regain emotional influence. It may appear as guilt, subtle victimhood, or reminders of shared history meant to soften your stance. Listen with compassion, but do not surrender your clarity. Compassion does not require confusion. You are not obligated to return to dynamics that drained you. The next few days will feel lighter. You might laugh more easily. You might find yourself less preoccupied with what others think. That mental freedom is proof that the spiritual interference that once hovered over your home has weakened significantly. And yet, remain observant. Not suspicious. Not guarded. Just aware. There's a clothing moment approaching. It will not be dramatic. It will be decisive. A small exchange, perhaps even brief, where everything internally settles. You will feel a sense of completion, a quiet internal statement that says, "It is done." When that happens, do not reopen what has already been resolved. Move forward. You have grown through this process in ways you may not fully see yet. Your discernment sharpened. Your patience deepened. Your emotional resilience strengthened. What felt like tension was training for greater responsibility ahead. And I must say this clearly now. Your household will not collapse. Stability is being reinforced, not removed. The original fear that something would be taken from you has dissolved. Instead, something has been secured for you. You are no longer operating from uncertainty. You are operating from grounded awareness. If this message has walked step by step through what you have secretly experienced, then let your engagement become part of the confirmation. Like this video so this word reaches others who are silently questioning their own environment. Share it with someone who feels tension in their home but cannot explain it. Comment what shift you have started noticing since March 24th. Your interaction strengthens this circle of spiritual clarity. Subscribe and remain connected, because what is unfolding in your life is part of a larger pattern of protection and positioning. There are more revelations ahead that will build upon this foundation. And before you move on, understand this. The calm you feel now is not temporary relief. It is the beginning of a more stable chapter. The atmosphere of your home is recalibrating around your steadiness. What once felt fragile is becoming firm. Something significant will finalize this cycle soon. When it does, you will look back and realize that the 3-week wait was not delay. It was divine precision. Remain grounded. The shift is almost complete. Enduring one, you are now standing at the threshold of completion. What began as tension has transformed into awareness. What felt uncertain now feels measured, and what once disturbed your peace is losing its influence entirely. The final threads of this situation are loosening, and you can sense it. There is a subtle confidence rising within you that did not exist a month ago. It is not loud. It is not boastful. It is deeply rooted. You no longer feel the need to analyze every expression or interpret every silence. The atmosphere that once made you second-guess yourself now feels transparent. That transparency is the closing sign. The woman who once carried hidden resistance has started adjusting her energy around you. You may notice more careful speech, more respectful distance, or even unexpected politeness. This is not manipulation anymore. It is recalibration. When someone realizes that their subtle influence has lost power, they adapt. But here is what matters most. You are not adapting out of fear anymore. You are responding from strength. I, Archangel Michael, have stood guard over this entire unfolding. Not to create division, but to prevent injustice. And injustice does not always look dramatic. Sometimes it looks like quiet exclusion. Sometimes it looks like subtle undermining. Sometimes it looks like making someone question their own belonging. That attempt has failed. There is one final internal test for you, and it is not about confrontation. It is about forgiveness. Not forced forgiveness. Not premature reconciliation. But inner release. If you hold on to resentment after clarity arrives, you bind yourself to the very tension you escaped. Release does not excuse behavior. It frees your spirit. In the coming days, there may be a moment where you see vulnerability in her that you did not expect. A crack in her composure. A flicker of insecurity that reveals the root of her behavior. That moment is not for you to exploit. It is for you to understand. Understanding gives you closure. Closure is what seals cycles. You might also notice that your sleep has become more restful. Dreams less chaotic. Thoughts less repetitive. That is because your nervous system recognizes safety again. The spiritual disturbance that once hovered has thinned to almost nothing. The house feels like yours again. And that matters more than you realize. This entire experience has refined your discernment. You now recognize energy shifts quickly. You sense when something is aligned and when something is not. This sharpened awareness will serve you beyond this household situation. It is preparation for larger environments, greater responsibilities, and more influential spaces. Do not underestimate what you have gained. There is also an unexpected benefit forming. Someone who observed this tension quietly has developed respect for your composure. They may not say it directly, but they see how you handled pressure without drama. That observation plants seeds of trust that will grow later. Your reputation within this environment has strengthened. However, remain humble. Strength combined with humility creates lasting stability. There is no need to assert dominance or remind anyone of what unfolded. Let silence carry the evidence. The final confirmation is approaching. It may appear as a subtle acknowledgement, a shift in decision-making where your voice is included more openly, or a direct statement that reflects changed awareness. When it happens, you will feel a calm finality. Do not reopen past conversations once that moment passes. Step forward. There is something else you must prepare for now. With this cycle closing, new opportunities will begin forming around you. Emotional clarity often precedes practical expansion. When your internal world stabilizes, external doors open more easily. Pay attention to invitations, ideas, or conversations that spark possibility. They are not random. The situation was not meant to shrink you. It was meant to strengthen you for what is ahead. And as you stand in this renewed confidence, remember the lesson that carried you through: observation before reaction, patience before accusation, peace before pride. That formula will serve you again. The energy in your home is almost fully balanced now. What remains is not tension, but adjustment. Give it space to settle completely. Continue moving with calm authority. Continue guarding your peace without defensiveness. You have navigated a subtle battle without losing yourself. That is victory. The shift that began on March 24th is nearing its final expression. When it completes, you will not feel triumphant over someone else. You will feel grounded within yourself. And that grounding will carry you into the next chapter with strength you did not know you possessed. Anointed soul, the cycle that began quietly is now reaching its visible conclusion. What was once hidden beneath politeness and subtle tension has risen to the surface in a way that no longer disturbs you. The exposure is not explosive. It is undeniable. And that is far more powerful. Since the last shift you felt, there hath been a noticeable softening in the environment. Conversations are clear. Decisions are less secretive. Even the air in your home feels lighter, as though something invisible has been lifted. This is not imagination. It is the result of truth completing its assignment. The woman who once operated from subtle insecurity now understands that her influence has limits. She senses that you are no longer emotionally accessible in the same way. You are kind but not easily swayed. You are present but not easily manipulated. That boundary has changed everything. I, Archangel Michael, did not expose this situation to create distance alone. I exposed it to create definition. Without definition, roles blur. Without definition, respect weakens. And now there is clarity, and clarity restores order. There may have been a recent moment when she indirectly acknowledged something without fully confessing it. Perhaps a statement like, "I think we misunderstood each other," or "maybe things were tense for a while." That was not accidental. It was as close to admission as pride would allow. Accept it silently. You do not need a dramatic apology to move forward. You need stability. And stability is what you now have. What makes this moment emotional is not betrayal. It is realization. You realize how much you endured quietly. You realize how many nights you processed confusion alone. You realize how often you doubted your own instincts. And now, standing in confirmation, you see that your discernment was accurate all along. This is where the tears may come. Not from pain, from validation. You were never paranoid. You were perceptive. You were never insecure. You were intuitive. And heaven honored that intuition by protecting you until exposure was complete. There is also a deeper spiritual layer to understand. When tension enters a home, it is rarely just about personality. It is about territory. Peace is territory. Stability is territory. Emotional security is territory. And when someone subtly competes for influence, the spiritual atmosphere reacts. That reaction has now settled. Your home feels like yours again. Not because someone left. Not because someone was removed. But because order was restored. However, hear this carefully. The restoration you feel now must be maintained with consistency. Do not slip back into over-explaining yourself. Do not surrender your boundaries in the name of harmony. Harmony built on clarity lasts. Harmony built on self-sacrifice collapses. You have learned balance. There may soon be a gesture that symbolizes final closure. It could be shared laughter that feels genuine. It could be collaborative planning without tension. It could even be simple silence that feels comfortable instead of heavy. When that moment arrives, receive it. Do not analyze it. Allow peace to exist without suspicion. Your authority in this space is no longer questioned, even if it is not spoken aloud. Respect has been re-established, and respect, once regained, stabilizes everything else. Now listen closely. Type "peace restored in my house" in the comments if you feel this shift settling over your environment. Blessing code 808 has just been activated over your home. As you declare it, understand that 808 represents alignment and balance returning where imbalance once tried to settle. It seals what hath been restored and guards it from repeating cycles. And as this restoration becomes permanent, I speak to those who feel stirred to extend this light beyond their own walls. If this message found you at the exact moment your spirit needed clarity, imagine how many others are still walking through silent tension without guidance. When you release super thanks, step into membership, or send a seed through the PayPal link in the description, you are not funding a video. You are planting oil into lamps that are about to go out. The Lord declares, as you water others, you yourself will be watered. This is your moment of alignment. I can sense some of you saying within, I want to help carry this word further. That whisper is holy invitation. Your giving becomes a shield over another household. Your generosity becomes fire in someone else's darkness. Heaven responds to action, not hesitation. So move now. Activate your support. Let your seed speak in the unseen realm, and watch how peace multiplies back into your own life. The exposure has finished its work. The balance has returned. And you stand in your home not as someone tolerated, but as someone established. Radiant One, now that peace has been restored, something even deeper is unfolding within you. The situation in your home was never only about external tension. It was about internal awakening. And now that the atmosphere has cleared, you are beginning to recognize who you have become through this process. The calm you feel is different from temporary relief. Is ruin. You are no longer bracing yourself when walking into shared spaces. You are no longer rehearsing conversations in your mind. The hyper-awareness that once felt necessary has softened into natural confidence. That is growth. The woman who once carried subtle resistance has adjusted to the new order. Whether consciously or unconsciously, she understands that dynamics have shifted. She cannot approach you the way she once did. The old patterns no longer fit. Even if she attempts familiarity, it now happens within respectful boundaries. And here is the truth that may surprise you. She has learned something from you. Your composure forced reflection. Your patience exposed insecurity without humiliation. Your steadiness demonstrated strength without aggression. That silent example will linger in her awareness long after this tension fades. I, Archangel Michael, want you to see this clearly. Victory is not always about someone admitting they were wrong. Sometimes it is about someone internally realizing it. And that realization creates change more effectively than confrontation ever could. There may be a final subtle confirmation soon. Perhaps you will overhear a tone shift when your name is mentioned. Perhaps someone will reference a misunderstanding in a way that acknowledges your integrity. It will be small, but it will feel complete. When that happens, let gratitude replace resentment. Gratitude seals transformation. The house you live in now carries different energy because you handled pressure with wisdom. Spiritual atmospheres respond to emotional discipline. You did not allow anger to dominate. You did not allow suspicion to poison your mind. You waited for clarity, and clarity gave. That pattern will serve you in future environments. There is also an expansion approaching in your personal life. Emotional clarity often creates space for opportunity. You may feel drawn to rearrange your routine, pursue a new goal, or initiate a conversation you once postponed. That impulse is connected to the stability you regained. When internal chaos quiets, creativity rises. Do not ignore new ideas surfacing in you now. They are signs that your energy is no longer consumed by defensive thinking. You are free to build. However, remain mindful of humility. Peace restored should never turn into superiority. Continue treating others with grace. Continue listening carefully. Continue responding instead of reacting. These habits elevated you during conflict. They will sustain you in calm. There is something else worth acknowledging. You endured doubt privately. There were moments when you wondered if you were being too sensitive. Moments when you considered silencing your intuition for the sake of harmony. But you did not fully silence it. You kept observing. That courage deserves recognition. Recognize your growth. The spiritual interference that once hovered has completely dissolved. What remains is equilibrium. And equilibrium allows relationships to either rebuild honestly or settle into respectful distance. Both outcomes are healthy. You may even find yourself feeling lighter toward the woman involved. Not because everything is perfect, but because you are no longer emotionally entangled in tension. Detachment without hostility is freedom. This freedom prepares you for something greater. Soon, an opportunity will arise that requires confident decision-making. It may involve finances, living arrangements, career direction, or personal boundaries. The clarity you gained here will guide you there. You will not hesitate the way you once did. Trust that instinct. March 24th marked the beginning of exposure. Now you stand beyond exposure. You stand in establishment. Your place is secure. Your voice carries weight. Your presence commands quiet respect. And as you move forward, remember this lesson. When something feels off, do not ignore it. Observe. Wait. Allow truth to reveal itself. You do not need to chase clarity. When timing is right, clarity comes to you. The cycle has closed. What remains is strength, and that strength will carry into every space you enter next. Steady warrior, now that the storm has passed and clarity has settled, you are entering a season of consolidation. What was restored must now be reinforced. Peace has returned to your home, but peace must be guarded with awareness. Not fear, not suspicion. Awareness. The tension that once disrupted your environment served a purpose. It revealed weak points in communication. It exposed subtle insecurities. It highlighted where boundaries were unclear. Now that these things are visible, you have the opportunity to strengthen the structure of your household dynamic. There will be a moment soon where you are invited into a conversation about future plans. It may seem ordinary on the surface, discussions about schedules, responsibilities, shared expectations, or long-term direction. But beneath it lies something important. You will be treated as someone whose voice matters. Notice that shift. Before, decisions may have felt partially formed without your awareness. Now, inclusion will be intentional. That inclusion is not accidental. It is the result of the authority you demonstrated when pressure tried to unsettle you. I, Archangel Michael, want you to understand something profound. Authority does not come from dominance. It comes from steadiness under testing. You were tested, and you did not collapse into reaction. That restraint elevated your position without you demanding it. A woman who once struggled internally has recalibrated. She may not openly admit everything she felt, but her behavior reflects adjustment. Here's less resistance, less subtle competition, more neutrality. And neutrality is a stable starting point for healthier interaction. However, remain conscious of patterns. Just because peace has returned does not mean old tendencies cannot attempt to resurface. If you sense subtle imbalance again in the future, address it early with calm communication. Do not allow weeks of silence to build before clarity is spoken. You have learned the value of timing. Use it wisely. There is also an internal strengthening taking place. You feel more confident speaking calmly when something feels off. You are less afraid of uncomfortable dialogue. That shift is significant. It means you no longer associate conflict with loss. You understand that clarity protects rather than destroys. This understanding will extend beyond your home. In professional settings, friendships, and future partnerships, you will recognize subtle red flags earlier. But instead of reacting emotionally, you will respond strategically. That is growth refined through experience. You might notice that others begin seeking your perspective more often. When someone handles tension with grace, people trust their judgment. Your experience has quietly built credibility. Do not misuse that credibility. Continue to listen more than you speak. Continue to evaluate before deciding. Continue to separate emotion from discernment. There may also be a small celebration soon. Not necessarily a formal event, but a shared moment of lightness that feels authentic. Perhaps laughter that comes naturally. Perhaps collaborative effort without strain. When that happens, allow yourself to enjoy it fully. Do not wait for something to go wrong. Peace deserves to be experienced without anticipation of conflict. And if this journey from tension to restoration mirrors your own experience, then let your engagement amplify this message. Like this video so it reaches others silently navigating similar dynamics. Share it with someone who feels misunderstood in their own home. Comment the strongest lesson you learned through this season. Your interaction spreads clarity further than you realize. Subscribe and remain connected, because growth does not end here. Each season builds on the last. The wisdom you gained in this cycle prepares you for greater responsibility ahead. And here is something important before you move forward. The transformation you experienced was not only situational. It was spiritual conditioning. You were being trained to handle influence without losing humility, to manage tension without sacrificing peace, and to hold authority without aggression. Those skills are rare. Use them carefully. The house you live in now feels settled. But more importantly, you feel settled within yourself. That internal stability is the true victory. Soon, you will face decisions that require this same composure. When the time comes, remember how you waited for truth instead of forcing it. Remember how you remained steady while exposure unfolded. That formula works. The cycle that began on March 24th was not random. It was preparation. And preparation always precedes elevation. Keep watching how your life continues to reorganize in your favor. What felt like disturbance has become discipline. What felt like tension has become training. And you are stronger than you were before it began. Courageous heart, what you are stepping into now is not just stability but elevation. The cycle that tested your discernment has completed its visible phase, yet its impact continues to unfold in deeper layers. You are no longer reacting to circumstances. You are directing your energy with intention. That shift marks maturity. The peace in your home is no longer fragile. It is structured. Conversations feel cleaner. Interactions feel lighter. Even disagreements, if they arise, no longer carry hidden undertones. That is because exposure removed what was concealed. And when concealment disappears, confusion loses its power. The woman who once projected insecurity has settled into a quieter posture. Whether she has fully processed her internal conflict or not is her journey. What matters is that her behavior has adjusted to match the new order. She recognizes, consciously or subconsciously, that you cannot be subtly displaced. You remained. That fact alone redefined everything. I, Archangel Michael, want you to see how significant this moment is. Many people abandon their position when tension arises. They withdraw emotionally. They overreact and create unnecessary fractures. Or they suppress their intuition until resentment builds. You did none of those things. You observed. You waited. You trusted timing. The discipline created authority. Here is something else happening now. Others in your environment are recalibrating their perception of you. Where once they may have underestimated your awareness, they now see your depth. Where once they may have assumed you were overly sensitive, they now understand that you are perceptive. Perception commands respect. You may notice that your suggestions carry more weight. Your silence carries more impact. Your presence carries more steadiness. That is not coincidence. It is the residue of how you handled pressure. There may soon be an opportunity to express your vision for the household more clearly. Perhaps through playing, organizing, or initiating something new within your shared space. Do not hesitate. Your ideas deserve room now. The fear that once held you back from asserting yourself has dissolved. And here is something deeper to acknowledge. The tension you experienced revealed your own hidden strength. You discovered patience you did not know you possessed. You discovered emotional restraint you did not realize was available to you. You discovered that you can endure uncertainty without collapsing. That realization will carry into every future environment you step into. There is also a spiritual strengthening occurring beneath the surface. Your discernment has sharpened to the point where you sense misalignment early. But unlike before, that awareness no longer triggers anxiety. It triggers strategy. You now know that clarity unfolds in time. You no longer rush to solve what patience can expose. This wisdom protects you from unnecessary battles. The house feels balanced. But more importantly, you feel anchored. Anchored people do not get easily moved by subtle winds of tension. Anchored people create stability for others. You have become that anchor. However, remain vigilant in humility. Do not let growth transform into pride. Continue choosing grace in interactions. Continue listening fully before responding. Continue prioritizing peace without sacrificing truth. The final seal of this cycle will come quietly, perhaps through a moment where you reflect and realize you no longer feel emotionally charged about what happened. You can think about it without tension. You can speak about it without bitterness. That neutrality is completion. Completion means you are ready for expansion. Something new is approaching. An opportunity, an idea, or a shift that requires confidence. You would not have been ready for it before this experience. Now you are. Trust the stability you have built. The events that began weeks ago were never meant to remove you. They were meant to refine you. And refinement prepares leaders, not victims. As you move forward, carry this lesson carefully. When something feels off, trust the sensation but do not rush the response. Allow truth to surface naturally. Your restraint is power. The chapter that started on March 24th is closing with clarity instead of chaos. That is a rare outcome. And it happened because you chose steadiness over reaction. Now stand in that strength. You are not the same person who felt unsettled weeks ago. You are sharper, calmer, more assured. And what comes next will meet you at that higher level. Beloved guardian of your own peace, this is the final unveiling of what began on March 24th. What you have walked through was never just about a woman, a conversation, or tension inside four walls. It was about identity. It was about spiritual authority. It was about discovering that your calm presence carries more power than hidden opposition ever could. Look at you now. The confusion that once circled your thoughts is gone. The heaviness that once sat in your chest has lifted. The silent questioning that kept you awake hath been replaced with quiet certainty. The transformation did not happen overnight. It happened because you endured without surrendering your discernment. The exposure you feared would bring chaos instead brought order. The truth you worried would hurt instead healed. The tension that tried to intimidate you instead trained you. I, Archangel Michael, have stood watch from the beginning of this cycle until now. Not to fight for you in loud battles, but to strengthen you in silent ones. Because silent battles reveal character, and your character proved steady. The woman who once carried subtle resistance now operates within clear boundaries. Whether she fully understands the spiritual depth of what happened or not is no longer your concern. The dynamic has shifted permanently. Respect has replaced rivalry. Awareness has replaced assumption. And most importantly, you no longer doubt yourself. That is the greatest victory of all. There may still be moments in the future when small misunderstandings arise. That is human nature. But you now possess a formula that cannot fail. Observe first, respond later. Feel deeply but speak wisely. Trust intuition but wait for evidence. This formula preserves your peace. It will preserve your future. Take a moment and reflect on who you were when this began. You felt unsettled, slightly unsure, careful with your words. Now you feel grounded, measured, confident without aggression. That growth is not accidental, is earned. And here is the final truth you must receive. Nothing was ever going to remove you from where you belong. The fear that something would be taken from you was an illusion created by subtle pressure. But pressure only revealed how firmly planted you are. Your place in that home is established. Your presence carries weight. Your spirit carries authority. The cycle is complete. You are no longer in exposure. You are in establishment. And as this chapter closes, I seal your household in continued clarity. Type "My house is sealed in peace" in the comments if you receive this completion. Blessing code 1224 is now activated over your home and your future decisions. As you declare it, understand that 1224 represents divine order locking into place. What was restored will not easily be shaken again. And now, before this message fades, hear this final call clearly. What you experience through this word is not just personal revelation. It is living oil flowing from heaven to households across the world. When you release a super thanks, step into membership, or send a seed through the PayPal link in the description, you are not supporting a channel. You are sowing light into homes that are still trembling in confusion. The Lord declares over you, "As you build my house, I will build yours." I can feel some of you saying within your heart, "I want to be part of this mission." That stirring is divine alignment. Your seed becomes fire on someone else's altar. Your obedience becomes protection over another family. This is not charity. It is covenant participation. Do not delay when heaven is prompting you. Activate your support now. Seal this word with action and watch how peace multiplies back into your life. The message that began with urgency now ends with authority. You are established. You are protected. You are prepared for what comes next.